Sisterhood of Health number 16. Oh my gosh, it's so incredible to think back to about a year ago when we launched this in-person programming before we knew what was coming in March. And so we're celebrating with 6 of my favorite sisters here. And about a year ago, we started in person with 6 to 8 women. And we had Lisa Novembre, our yoga movement expert, guide us through a vinyasa flow to get our juices and movement and breath aligned. And then we had our coach, Janice Vanderwood, human potential coach, guide us through a coaching session with the 6 to 8 women in person. It was really neat what came out of those discussions. And then Dr. Keara Taylor and I hooked everyone up to an intravenous vitamin therapy treatment while we were having the coaching session. And we also had lunch. So then when March came, March 2020, we took this initiative online and welcomed in so many amazing health experts and speakers. I get goosebumps talking about this and just thinking back to this past year. So I'm so grateful to all of the sisterhood, and we are going to have an amazing conversation today about sex, self-care, hormone health, and intimacy. We are going to share personal stories. We are going to share tips and insights from our visits with our clients. And so I'm excited for what is going to come out of this discussion with my favorite sisters. So Lisa, do you want to start to get us in the mood and in the movement for our discussion?
Sure, Tara. So today we're going to just, I'm going to guide you through some sun salutations. And sun salutations for me are my go-to. For someone who has suffered from anxiety for most of my life, I find that's a great place where I can stop and focus on my breath and connect it to the movement and just really clear my mind and calm my mind. It's really important for me to do that because if I can calm my mind, I can be more present in the moment, and it helps me make better decisions. And on a more personal level with relationships, that helps me to kind of be aware of my wants, my likes, and it opens up the communication better. So trying to keep you in the present moment so that your mind is not wandering and being present at that time, whether it's with a family member, someone you love, it really doesn't matter, but making that connection. The breathing and the movement is amazing. It brings the awareness of your body and what you're feeling, which is so important. For us to connect to our bodies and makes us feel good about ourselves. And when you do feel good about yourself, you share that with everyone else around you. So that's also very important. It picks up that vibration of making you feel more happy. So we'll start off with that. So we're going to start off with, I'm going to guide you through a few sun salutations, and we're going to move with the breath. Every inhale and exhale is accounted for. So I'll guide you through that. And we're not going to go quickly. We're going to take it nice and slow so you can really get that feeling of what I want to share with you so that you can take that with you. Okay, so I'm just going to walk over to my mat if you can as well. And we'll come to the front of our mat. So feeling your feet grounding, your arms are by your side. We're standing nice and tall. And we want to breathe deeply in and out through our nose. You're going to start to generate heat in the body. You're trying to keep the inhalation and the exhalation of equal length, which is also very important. And I'm going to cue you where you're going to gaze. That gaze is also very important for focus. Okay, so we'll start with Surya Namaskara A. So we'll take a deep breath in. So you're going to reach your arms up, look up towards your thumbs. And then as we exhale, we're going to fold forward. So allow your knees to bend if you need to. So release the palms, draw the forehead right in. Inhale, lengthen your spine. And then exhale, you're going to step back into a plank position. And we're going to lower down into Chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog. Gaze up, lift your chest, nice strong arms. Exhale, lift the hips, roll over the toes into downward dog. Good. And we're going to hold downward dog for 5 deep breaths. 1, you want to spread your fingers nice and wide, and you want to gently connect with your mat by pressing forward into the palms.
2, you want to soften all the muscles of your face, your neck, your jaw. 3, just gently draw your hips back towards your heels. Allow the knees to soften as much as you need to. 4, draw the navel back into the spine. Just feel the lower ribs draw in. Connect with your core. And 5. So make sure you complete all that breath and look towards your palms. On the inhale, you're going to step to the front of the mat, keeping that gaze up. As we exhale, we're going to fold the forehead in towards the shins. Inhale, strong legs, come all the way up, look towards your palms, lift your chest. Exhale, release the arms by your side. Inhale, reach the arms up. We want to move with the breath. Exhale, fold forward, letting the hands reach the mat. Let the forehead release in towards the shins. Inhale, lift your gaze, keeping the arms strong. Exhale, step your feet back. Nice strong core, lower down, chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog, lengthen the spine, reach through the toes. Exhale, downward dog. 1, so feel the breath energize the body. 2, notice if you're feeling tension, you want to soften. 3, you want to create space through the collarbone. Notice if you're tensing up into the neck and shoulders. 4, the whole body is active. And 5, we'll gaze up towards the palms. Inhale, stepping the feet to the front of the mat. Look up, lengthen. Exhale, fold the forehead in towards the shins. Inhale, all the way up, palms together. Exhale, release the arms by your side. So we're going to do Surya Namaskar B, okay? Inhale, bend the knees, let the weight pull back towards the heels. Palms together, open up the chest. Exhale, fold forward as we straighten the legs. Inhale, lift your gaze. Exhale, step back and lower down, chaturanga. Inhale, upward dog. Exhale, downward dog. Look to the palms. Inhale, step your right foot forward, keeping the right knee bent. We're going to open up the arms, warrior 1, palms together. And then exhale, release your hands, step the right foot back and lower. Inhale, upward dog. Exhale, downward dog. Inhale, step the left foot forward, heel to heel. Legs are strong, arms are strong, opening up that heart center, gaze towards your palms. Exhale, release the hands, step the left foot back. Keep that navel in, lower down. Inhale, upward dog. Exhale, downward dog. And we're going to settle into downward dog. 1. So using your breath to bring awareness to the body. 2, you can feel the blood flowing through the body. Relax your jaw, relax your face. 3, evenly grounding to the hands and feet. 4, draw the navel back into the spine. Keep extending to the crown of the head. And 5. Look to your palms. Inhale, step to the front of the mat, look up, lengthen your spine. Exhale, fold the forehead in towards the shins. Inhale, bend the knees, drop your hips, arms come up, palms together. And then exhale, we're going to come to standing. We're going to hold the hands at heart center. And we're just going to take a few breaths here. Breathe in and out through your nose. You want to sound your breath. You want to settle the heart rate. And we're going to release the arms. There we go. Thank you.
That was so great, Lisa. And what a perfect way to tune into self-awareness, self-care, and intimacy. I don't know about you, the five of you, but at the end, when you had your hand at the heart center, did you feel your heart beating further and you could tune into your breath further, which really is part of intimacy. And I created a self goal for myself this week that every day I want to at least do my sun salutations every morning just to start my day. I always have a better day when I do so. It's hard to fit my whole yoga practice in right now, but just getting 5 minutes in what we did there is so beneficial. So I encourage all of you to do the same. Some of you are more advanced in your practice and you certainly be doing your full, but for me, the mini 5-minute sun salutations is my goal. So I'm going to move back to the gallery view. And Sandra, I'm so interested to hear what you have to say about sensuality and intimacy and sex, and just a little introduction about Sandra. Sandra is a registered psychotherapist, and she has created a course that is actually offered around the world on sensuality and sexual practices. I'll let you say a little bit more about it, but I'm so grateful that Sandra has joined this call just to share some key highlights from that course with us.
Thank you, Tara. So I was sharing with Tara before we started recording. So during my original training many years ago as a body-centered psychotherapist, on the second year, one of my teachers who was teaching us, she said, it would be really awesome to create a women's group. She had a women's group already in the States. I was at that time living in Europe. She said, women's groups are amazing. And I've been part of that women's group now for 20 years. And we've been moving, around the continents, meeting in different places, meeting with American women and so on. So when I came to Canada 17 years ago and started a private practice, I said, I really want to organize a women's group here because I know the benefits of the women's circle, which the Sisterhood is as well. And I started doing that 3 years ago in person. And then when the COVID hit, we had to kind of migrate it to online. Unfortunately, because of the COVID, we could not do what we were originally planning, which was to create the circle where the women from Europe, from Japan, Canada, and US would meet together. It was planned for last fall, but it had to be postponed. But my dear colleague and teacher, Deborah Allen, and I have decided to just go ahead and do the international circle with women from the States and Canada, and that's what's running now. So the topic is sensuality, sexuality, and eros. And it's really about, it is about, how we become sexual people, the context, what forms and creates our sexuality, how sexuality changes, but it's a lot about everything else. If you think about that area of the lower belly in the energy world, that is also the space where creativity lives, passion for everything, passion for life, not just sexual passion, assertiveness, like how I move into the life, ability to say no, so boundaries, and also ability to say yes. So we really kind of pay a lot of attention to all those, I call them little petals of the flower that lives there in that energy center. So one of the things that I wanted to kind of offer today is just a little bit talking and then an exercise as well. There is a phenomenal researcher. Her name is Carol Gilligan from Harvard, from New York. And she spent a whole life researching girls and what happens to girls pre-puberty and what changes when puberty hits. So around the age of 12, what she noticed is that girls begin to say, I don't know, way more often, and begin to censor themselves. So it becomes more important that I'm nice or I pretend to be nice, because a lot is at stake. I mean, if you think about a time when you were 12, I know for myself, like, it was pretty scary. You know, you want to be part of a certain group, you maybe want a certain boy to like you, and so on. So she did a lot of research on that, and just doing the research already helped the girls who were part of the research, because they had to talk to grown-up researcher women about themselves. So it really helped them find their voice and voice what they know. Not that I don't know, but what I do know, right? So I'm always kind of saying to women who are interested in their sexuality and sensuality, whether they just want to learn more or bring it more back into their lives, it doesn't even have to be about sex. It can be about, you know, who I am in this world. It's, you know, it's a very potent, strong force. Get curious about, you know, who you were before you were 12, what kind of things you liked, what interested you, where your creativity lived, you know, how are your boundaries? So like that whole arena. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. And one of the, so a very good exercise that we can do for ourselves, so like just by yourself on your own, is it's a simple breathing exercise. So whether you work with energy centers, if you know where they are or not, it doesn't really matter. But like knowing where your heart center is, which is right there under sternum, and then the sexual sensual center in the lower belly. And imagining that as you inhale your breath into the heart. You don't have to do it now, I'll just speak first. So to inhale it into the heart, and then keep on inhaling it into your genitals. And you exhale it out of the genitals, and then it goes out and back. Inhale through the mouth into your heart, so that you keep the full circle going. When I started learning it, I actually used my hands because it helped me guide the breath. So you can even use your hands. You want to try that? Mm-hmm. Okay, so the whole point is, of course, to kind of sit straight as you feel comfortable, but not like in a rigid way, right? To feel your feet on the ground, or if you're sitting cross-legged, you can just feel the support beneath your sit bones. Okay. And then to begin to pay attention to your breath, and try to do it with one inhale, one exhale if you can. So inhaling into the heart and all the way into the belly, and then exhaling through the genitals out. Inhaling through the genitals out. Through the heart in, down into the genitals, and then out.
Whose cat is that?
Yeah, then whenever you feel okay, coming back, opening your eyes.
No, sorry. I love the cat in the background.
Who's
so
this?
sorry.
It's good. I like it.
I have to.
They're breathing with us.
Yeah,
It relaxes me.
She wants more. So if you had to do this, with your partner, I mean, it's a way longer story, but there is a little bit of difference between the male and female ways in which we are in the world. So heart or genitals, but okay, I'll make it simple. So I would inhale my partner's breath. I would drop it through my heart and through my genitals. And then as I exhale, I give it to my partner, and my partner inhales it through the genitals, pulls it up to the heart, exhales, give it back to me. I take it through my mouth into my heart and into my genitals. I exhale through the genitals. I give it to my partner. He takes it in, and we circulate. And then you can also switch. So I exhale, it goes through his heart into the genitals. He gives it to me, takes it into my genitals, into my heart, and so on. So it's a really good exercise to bring the energy gently up, sensual, sexual energy, and to build intimacy. So,
I could even feel that in just thinking
just
about
imagining.
Passing it off to someone. That's really fascinating.
Yeah.
Sandra, I have a question. Do you work with, obviously you work with women that have had sexual traumas?
Yes.
Yeah.
So I worked for about a decade. I worked for Boost, which is a child, child and family. Oh God, I'm totally messing this up. Boost is Boost works with kids that have been abused and families as well. So I work a lot with sexually abused girls and boys. 1 in 3 women has experienced some sort of sexual crossing the boundary, let's call it like that. So that area is very familiar to me. And of course, we move way slower and we work around everything else. We just don't go in. So we work on safety.
Wow.
Yeah, and I love what you said about, you know, at the age of 12, you know, the girls are saying, you know, I don't know. And
I can barely hear you. Hold on, I'll pump it up. Okay, sorry. Tell me again.
oh, am I loud enough here?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I just loved what you said about, you know, girls at around age 12 start not to know, right? They don't, I don't know. Right. And I, you know, I wonder about that in a context of codependency, right? As girls, as women, we aim to please, right? Most of us. And so it makes complete sense that we don't know what we want. Getting all this message and for good reason, for safety reasons, right? I mean, we become codependent, right? It's not anyone's fault. It's just a manager, right? Of your nervous system, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And
it's a scary time. I mean, so much is going on in your body. You can't really control
Just gonna say
it.
that.
Things happen. Yeah.
Oh my
God.
Yeah. So I, you know what, and if we can go into personal stories a little bit, you know, I remember actually at age 12 getting my period and not even knowing. I mean, you know, I didn't have the talk or anything with my mom, but like going, what is going on here? Like I thought I was done, and we didn't know anything about it, and it was so terrorizing.
Me too.
Yeah, me too.
I can relate to that as well. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It's the not knowing, right? If everything's new, your body's changing. You just don't know. It's almost like a little bit of a fear, and like you build up something, right, like a block there until you figure it out. So I think that's where all that shyness comes in, and that we start to do this, you know, because things start to change in our body, and we're a little afraid of that, right?
Absolutely.
So
So I'm just thinking, so for me, my parents had separated when I was going through whatever, puberty, I guess we'll say, or first time getting my period. And I literally remember trying to figure out how to put a tampon in with a little mirror. And my dad accidentally walked in. He closed the door quickly. Like it was very quick, whatever. But yeah, like so scared, terrified. I think just Lisa, what you said about we go inward, we crunch over, and as we're figuring out, I mean, there's a long time to figure it out. It's not just a month or a year. It's like, I was hearing you say that, I went, oh my gosh, my life is about figuring it out.
That's right.
So what would you say, Sandra and Janice, for girls going through that? So we're now evolved, older, wiser, but so it's going back to that girl in us, and then to our daughters and whatnot. How would you address it? The I don't knows.
The I don't knows. Yeah. I mean, go ahead, Sandra. Yeah, if you want.
I think the conversation about women being subject in their lives, like in the world, in charge of my life, versus being an object in my life, is still a very young conversation, extremely important conversation. Very important also because of all the social media. If you watch the Social Dilemma documentary, that indicates that in the last 10 years, self-harming had tripled, 300 times more during the time of, Facebook, Instagram, all of that appeared. And suicide has gone up by 150%. So for the population younger than 35 of age, suicide is the main reason for dying, bigger than car crash or cancer. It's insane because the platforms are addictive. The platforms are about being liked. If I'm not liked, it's a disaster. Of course, we have intense emotions, everything is taken to the heart. There is cyberbullying. The conditions are really difficult. Talk to kids, open conversations about everything so that, my daughter, my son can have a safe place to go to. Just keep the conversation going. That's a thread. As long as we have a thread, we're going to be okay. That is mine.
Exactly.
What
they're feeling is all okay, right? It's your nervous system being put into a fight or flight response, and or a dorsal dive, which is just sort of a disassociation, checking out kind of place where, like Lisa, you describe going in, and that nobody wants to be kicked out of a tribe, right? That is survival, and that's more than likely what you're feeling when you're not included in these platforms, or however it works. I think, Sandra, you're totally on board. Obviously, is communication is everything. To know that your kids have a safe place to go to, and what we all spoke about with regards to our menstrual cycles. I think all three of us didn't have a place to, I certainly didn't have a place to go to speak about that. There was a lot of shame around that for me. And then you just hold it in, and it leaks out in other areas of your life. So that, the runoff is pretty big. Yeah.
It's making me want to act now. Like, we have to put a program together for kids. No,
We do.
Well, like I was even thinking that even that idea, because I have a similar experience too with, I remember when I first got my period, and I didn't even I hadn't really talked to my mom about it. And I felt a lot of shame in my body. Like I was I knew what it was. I was a little bit of a late bloomer. So my friends had all had it. So it wasn't the fear of what it was, but it was this shame to talk about it. And that's what's going to ebb into that, our sexuality as women too. A lot of women have a lot of shame around sexuality. And I think it starts from that, or at least for me, I think it started at that place when I had first gotten my period. And I think a lot of it, what I had wanted to talk about today, was kind of how our hormones ebb and flow through our menstrual cycles, and how that can really impact our libido, our desire for intimacy, the type of intimacy that we desire. But even with younger girls actually learning at a young age about the power of their menstrual cycle and the power of their hormones, instead of it being a shameful thing, or I don't understand what's going on.
Yeah, switch it to a beautiful, ceremonious, welcoming, opening, ritualistic. Yeah.
Even my husband is oh my God, my daughter's 3. And he's you're going to be so excited when she gets her period. Are you? Obviously I don't want to make it embarrass her into that extent, but I'm I want to make it into a much more ceremonious thing, like you said. Yeah.
Actually, Keara, as you're talking, it's reminding me of my SOS text message to you and 2 others when it was, I think, very early on with Ellie, and I changed her diaper and there was blood in the diaper. And I went, oh my God. And then I messaged and it very normal, but only if your daughter, or you've seen that, do you know it's normal? Because Keara was the one to say, oh yeah, Maeve had that as well. But the other 2 moms hadn't seen it. And so thank goodness for the internet in this case too.
Yeah.
That's right.
But how fascinating that it, babies too, hormone rhythm.
Yeah, it's the hormone drop. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Well, we want to get to all of us talking and sharing, and there's so much juice here from each of you. And I'm backtracking to say my favorite sisters, because literally every woman here, everyone who I've spoken to in the sisterhood, we are all sisters in health, and we have so much to share, and we need to just open the conversation with kids in that age, but to all of us, we're all, you know, like we need a platform and a space to talk about these things, you know, even more so. So for me, intimacy, I wanted to bring up the thought of intimacy and anxiety. And how can you be intimate with someone else if you can't be intimate with yourself? So, you know, restless mind, difficulty turning thoughts off, even during the act of sex. I don't know about you, but sometimes it's hard for me to turn my brain off. A lot of self-consciousness, self-awareness. And so this topic of intimacy and sex, and we had a sex coach way back in the Sisterhood, a male, and then I just have loved talking with Sandra further. And sorry, with the male who came on, he said, it's not lost on me coming in and speaking to a group of women about sexual openness. But what he talked about, I thought this is the root of health. And same, Sandra, like sexuality really is. And it's just a window to understand yourself further, to connect with others further, and bringing the word safety into it is really beautiful and important. So, yeah, I guess I just wanted to bring that to the table of anxiety and mental restlessness, and how to tune into yourself safely to then keep exploring sexuality with another person.
I was going to say that I agree 100% with that part about like, how can you really be intimate with another person if you can't be intimate with yourself? And if you don't, you can't like tune into your needs and your wants and your desires, and they're going to change like moment to moment. It's not always going to be the same, but when you can kind of meet yourself there and get to know yourself intimately, then I think then you can really allow that intimate connection to open up with someone else. Because even talking about being intimate with someone and having your mind race and not being able to be present, because a lot of that is just the distraction, but kind of bringing that, being really intimate with yourself first. I love that.
And that breath exercise, Sandra, that you taught, that is such a great tool. So talk about tools and strategies for people to action, what we talk about in visits with clients. And that is amazing to just as a window into building intimacy with your partner. Yeah.
Can I like normalize it? Just
sure.
One more minute. So like, you know, the model of brain, like reptilian, limbic, and the neocortex, like the high brain. So why it's more complicated? So the reptile, as you know, like, you know, reptiles don't care about their young, they eat them, there's like no tending, just survival, right? So that part of me will constantly scan for what is safe. The limbic is all about tending, all about caring, all about emotional, right? So depending on so many contexts, starting from intrauterine, early childhood, teenage, adolescence, into the adulthood, which pieces feel like, what feels safe, what relationships feel like to me, what love feels like, how to receive it, how to give it, all of that will form what puts a brake on me for sex, or what accelerates it and goes like, ooh, this is juicy. And then it comes, you know, this amazing part, which is where mystery lives. So if you want to have you can have amazing sex, you know, from the limbic reptilian part of a brain, for sure. But if you really want to have a deep experience of see into me, intimacy, it's here. This is the mystery. This is the romance. This is the context. These are the candles and movies and whatever you want to call it, you know. So to just know that, you know, there are different parts that, you know, there is a reason why that my brain goes bzzzt, and then there is a good way to kind of begin to slow it and understand it and start again.
I want to highlight that into me see. I love
that.
Yeah, I love that as well.
Yeah, see into me.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah.
Well, you know, speaking of self-love and you know, becoming intimate with yourself before you can sort of go about that with someone else. I'm in the middle. I just started a course on codependency and perfectionism, overcoming those things. And one of the exercises this week was to write a love letter to yourself. And you know, when I came upon the time when it was for me to do it, I looked at it and I recognized a complete visceral response in my body. Like like a tightness in the gut, like there was like a resistance there. And I'm like, what is that? Like, what is that? And I, you know, it was interesting. I was able to sort of sit with it, and there was some real discomfort around, like, how am I going to do this? Like, what, you know, it was scary, actually. And so sort of just being in there, recognizing the feelings in the body, like Sandra, you said, getting into the body, right? That there was a bit of a tightness in my chest and these butterflies in the tummy. And, you know, finding a way to sort of get myself into a place of calm, right? Like it's okay, you know, putting my hand on my heart and my lower belly, the places that I was feeling those feelings, and maybe giving it a little rub, maybe holding it there. You know, it felt safe to proceed. And I did it. I wrote the letter, and it was so cathartic. It was so impactful. And, you know, I had never considered or ever dreamed about doing that for myself. I don't journal a lot, and I'm starting to through this course, but this was one of the exercises that we did. And I mean, when we're so used to, you know, depending on what others, you know, think, feel, and act, and you know, we're sort of tied to that. Our happiness is sort of tied to that. We don't have a clue with what we want, right? It's really hard to access that when we're, you know, some people are people pleasers and have that codependency coming from a place of, you know, adaptive behaviors when we're small. And just kind of sitting with those feelings and recognizing, you know, that it is there, you are safe, right? You are an adult now. You do have agency over yourself, right? You're not that child anymore. I know it's not as simple, but it's, you know, sort of a brief overview on that is, and obviously some therapy might be required for that, but yeah, you are safe. To know that you are safe in this moment, and to actually put your hands on your body and feel that.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really great, although it was really scary. And, you know, it's an opportunity to take some deep cleansing breaths and slow down. And one of the tools that I learned in order to become present is I learned that your tongue actually is a joystick of your nervous system. So maybe we can do that now, in that if you concentrate on something, if you focus on somebody's face or something, focus on something on your computer or in your room, and really have a good think about something. Like really focus in and think about something, maybe a problem that you want to work out. And I want you to notice what your tongue is doing. Where is it? What does it feel like? Is there tension? Is there a stiffening? What is it? Does anyone have any observations?
Mine like glues to the roof of my mouth.
Mine did the same.
It's like stiff.
Yeah. And so what I want you to do now is just soften your eyes, allow your tongue to just relax and fall. Part your lips slightly. Soften your eyes. Just allow it to just fall and be. Yeah. How does that feel?
I will definitely be more conscious of my tongue.
Yeah, for sure.
And yeah.
Yeah, and I know I sort of went off on a little tangent here, but what I really wanted to speak of is, you know, a different kind of love, right? You know, we often look at our primary relationships, our kids, families, which is romantic partnerships, whatever that might be for you, and we sort of have that one sort of narrow view of what connection and love and connection is. But what I wanted to speak on very, very briefly is micro connections throughout the day are just as important. And so when you're walking by someone on the street, if somebody gives you a smile or you say hello, I know that I've been doing a ton of dog walking lately, and I've noticing that I can pass someone that they don't look at me, or I might say hello and they don't answer. And it's interesting. I'm so aware I'm feeling the disconnection right away. And like, oh, like it just doesn't feel good. Whereas when you walk past somebody and they give you even a smile, they don't even have to say something. It feels so good. And it's all these sort of micro connections, right? Micronutrients, micro connections that really help you tone your nervous system, really helps regulate. So it's not just these primary sort of romantic relationships, if it's there, or children or family, those are all super important. But even the barista or the obviously the grocery, we're all just going to the grocery store. So, and passing people on the street, those kind of connections are so crucial in practicing getting into a parasympathetic state. So sort of a rest and digest, tend and befriend kind of state. And you may say that, I'm not really good at connecting. Well, it's sort of, it's really just comes down to practice. It might feel like a little shaky riding a bike at first, but really making an effort to make those little tears, those little micro tears, right? We all know that when we exercise, you create those little micro tears in the body. And in the end, they bring you through healing into something that's much more beneficial to you. Right?
And also just the thought of the love letter to self. I think that's just a brilliant take home exercise to really do and see what comes up for sure. So,
yeah, go ahead.
I want to make sure we get Deanna's golden ball second chakra exercise to close this circle out, but so much more to talk about. And I hope we've provided nuggets of thought that is going to expand further throughout the month of February, the month of self-care, sensuality, I'll add that word, sex, and intimacy. It almost feels awkward to say. You got to get comfortable with saying into me see. And okay, so Deanna, let's close off with some root chakra warmth and love.
Okay, so we'll stand for this one. So the root chakra is the idea of it is it's the second chakra. It governs the emotions, creativity, security, self-expression. And in traditional Chinese medicine, it's actually the lower dantian. So it's a little bit different than the terminology of chakra. And it's sort of like a storehouse. So it's you could think of it like a container of energy that would be stored below the navel versus more of like a channel that it would move through, right? So we're going to kind of move that energy around and make sure we're full in our lower dantian. So really feeling that light and sort of expansion there. And in relation to the other dantian, so we have the lower and the middle, which we sort of looked at with Sandra, right? The heart center and the sacral center. But then there's also the upper as well, which is connected to the spirit, right? So we want to make sure that before we sort of move the golden ball, we're actually going to open up sort of, let's say, like the gates to each center, each energy center, and then we'll start to cultivate and move that energy. So just standing with your feet in line with your shoulders, we're just going to take our palms to the upper dantian first. So this is where the spirit energy is held. So you can settle your eyes or look down or close your eyes. And without touching your forehead, you're just going to keep your fingertips about maybe a couple inches away. Just steadying your breath in through your nose, out through your nose. And we're going to start to open up the gates to the upper dantian. So without touching fingertips to each other, just going to gently kind of open up the arms, spreading them apart, and then close them back up. So we do this 3 times. We open, let out any sort of thoughts or anything we don't need from the mental space, one more time. Just opening and then closing the gates back up to sort of protect them and keep them shut. Let's do 2 more times now that we have that. So opening and then quickly close. And one more. You can think exhale and close, just feeling that lightness through the upper dantian. Then we're going to take our fingertips down to the heart center. You can exhale, just thinking of releasing whatever you don't need from the heart and then closing it up. And this is not a way of closing the heart, but just keeping sort of this, your wei qi, so the shield of sort of like a shield to protect it from any sort of negative energy. So just sealing it back up. Good. And then we'll do one more down at the lower dantian. So just moving it down. Breathing in. Good. Releasing any tension from the physical space of your lower dantian. 2. Yeah, just opening it up. And one more. Good. So now that we're nice and sort of open, we have this nice fluid channel of energy through all 3. We're going to take the arms wide to the sides, breathing in. We're going to round forward, gather the golden ball from the earth and pick it up in front of the lower dantian. Good. Second step is opening up the energy, really widening, taking up space. Exhale, close, bringing the ball back to its center form, bringing it into your chest, pressing it away, pressing it down like it's compressed into water, and then releasing it. Good. And again, you can hinge from the hips, gather, breathing in. Good, open, disperse, just feel it get really big and then compress it back. So it's a really nice way of sort of regulating our chi through our body, our life force. And press it down, release. Good, let's do it 2 more times. Breathe in. Gather, picking it up. You can even look between your hands, watch it expand. Closing it back up. Back to its form, in. Press away. Good, let it settle and disperse. Last one, hinge. Good, you can start to imagine a really sort of white or even an amber light. So whatever resonates more with you, just picturing it really bright, moving in and around you, and release. Good, and then to close off the golden ball, we're going to reach the arms wide, fingertips facing the ground. And as you exhale, just softening the front side of your body. For females, our left palm goes underneath our right at the lower dantian to close. And again, breathing in. Good, closing the space, the energy behind our bodies, back of our body to close. And one more, we're going to soften and close all the energy through the inside of our body, from the top of our heads all the way down to our navels. Closing there, and just close your eyes for a minute. Just feeling your feet rooted into the earth. And just sensing almost if there was 2 amber colored lights beneath your feet, drawing up through the center of your feet, all the way up your thighs and landing right in your lower dantian below your left palm. And just taking in as much of that yin sort of nourishing energy from the earth and our female energies in the earth. Just taking in as much as you need. And then from the heavens, so from above us, we're imagining the crown is open and we're filling up the center crown with this really bright white light, the yang energy. So the masculine energy, sort of a little hotter, more active, just feeling that drop from the center crown all the way down to the space beneath your left palm. So we can picture those two sort of lights, those two opposites sort of combining and mixing in a clockwise direction below your navel. And just balancing the yin and yang. That's in all of us, that's in all of our organs, and that really composes us. And then your feet are nice and rooted. We're going to lower the arms. And you can just shake off your hands, shake off the feet. And then we just finish with the Tai Chi symbol, the circle with the right hand, left hand straight. Just hold it. Good. Wonderful. So that's something you can do on your own as well. Anytime you're feeling you need that sort of rebalancing or reset of your chi.
I felt wonderful, Deanna.
Yeah. So many great tools in this session. I can't wait to share it out. I know some of you have to run, so thank you, everyone. This was just beautiful, and I hope the insights carry with you throughout the day, and I know you'll share it out with the people you microcosmically connect with today. So bye, everyone. Enjoy the beautiful night outside.
Thank you.
Thanks, you.
Bye.
Bye.
Oh, kitty.
He jumped.
She feels
It was great. Aw, your little baby. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.